Good evening. This is the video newsletter for buysellshort.net from Monday, August 23rd. Back from a nice little break from the market this past week, and I come back and see the market is pretty much more the same. Another trap for bears or bulls with a negative bias. Economic data, again, pretty much the reason for the doom and gloom we're seeing right now. A lot of it has to do with the slowdown we had this summer, and we're starting to see all those economic reports play catch up to the data that everyone expected to see. Home sales, of course, continue to move down, and we've had a lot of merger and acquisition news over the last few days, but that's only given us small little pops on the market, and the bias remains to the downside in this market right now. We're looking at the 15-minute chart. You can see we continue to remain trapped within that bullish falling wedge on the Dow. Resistance right now is around 10,300, and if we flip over to the daily chart, you can see support now. We have downside risk at the moment to 10K and possibly lower. Granted, we could see more of the same over the next week or so that we saw in today's session. Early pop, late day sell off, sort of trade within a pretty tight trading range. But, as I've said before, unless we're above this 10,700 area or below 10K, traders really aren't getting too active in this market. And, we are entering that bearish time of the year, September and October. The markets tend to do very poorly during that time frame. So, there's no reason to think we're not going to see more of the same again this year. Today's early morning pop, as I mentioned in the chat room, we had a nice 50-point pop on the market, but the SMH was very, very weak. Did not confirm the overall market strength, and didn't take too long before the market rolled over. And again, the SMH indicator, very nice indicator to tell us if both bullish and bearish intraday trends are in fact legit. Today it proved to us that the early rally was in fact a scam. Support right now, 25.50 is where we'd be looking to pick up a scalp position with stops at 25 cents. Doesn't look like the healthiest chart here right now, especially given that we didn't make it back to the 200 or 50-day moving average. But we've got economic reports, a few of them tomorrow. Negative numbers already baked into the pie there for all intents and purposes. So it's just a matter of how bad the data is and how the market reacts to it. As I've said many times before, news can have two different effects on the market. The exact same news. It just all depends on the sentiment that's there. News that's released this week with a bearish sentiment could send the market down. If it's released a week later, exact same news with the market in a rally mode, it's presented as bullish. So that's just how the market works and how the news cycles flow. There have been some areas of strength, however, over the last few days. Small cap biotech stocks sort of randomly have been popping left and right. We had a couple of those today. Let's pull up one of them. Hang on a second here. RPRX was one of them, up 60% today. Up what? Yeah, over the last two sessions. No news, increased volume, and this is a biotech stock that has $5 million in cash and is burning a crap load of cash, and will definitely be doing a financing here really soon. This one up here in the 65-cent area should make for a very nice short, especially if it hits tomorrow on day 3 of this move. Another turd biotech that was up pretty big over the last couple of days, our old friend GNBT. The fact that this massively bloated share count stock GNBT is actually putting on 20% moves tells you money is kind of moving into the biotech stocks, and that was the reason for us moving into some biotech plays today. Of course, one of our favorites, DSCO breakout, close above 25-cent area. You can see here, as I've notated, we've got sort of a W formation here. One of my favored bullish setups on a chart. You see down, up, down, and then that final move usually is an explosive move to the upside. Really strong support now at 22.5 cents here. Stochastics nicely oversold, and with the moves we've been seeing on some of these small cap bios, won't take a whole lot of volume to move plays like this. ICGN is another one. These guys, $15 million in cash, no delisting risk like DSCO until later this year, unlike RPRX and a couple of these other bios that I believe go bye-bye in September or, next month. So this one, nice little volume spike in this one today. Had a nice pop about a week or so ago to 43 cents, slowly retraced. We had some nice volume on this one today, and we'll be looking for some follow through up to the 50-day moving average at 37 cents, especially given what the biotech stocks are doing. HILL. We jumped into this one in the chat room last week. This is a storage stock play, and if you haven't been watching the news, Hewlett Packard and Dell are in a price war to buy PAR Systems. PAR's storage stock, only $200 million in revenue. HILL storage stock, $250 million in revenue. But HILL also has a huge cash position, $42 million in cash, no debt. Market cap is only 60 odd million, so very, very cheap. Breakout is the 50-day moving average at $1.15 and $1.25 plus. I mean, they're price warring over PAR, offering $1.2 billion dollars for it. And here's a storage stock trading at, $20 million when you back out its cash. Cheapity, cheap. Last sort of cheapy type tech stock plays like this that comes to mind, WSTL, which doubled for us after we called a little tech gem. I believe HILL is a similar sort of play. RSI about to break 50. Positive ADX cross. We're going to get a positive MACD cross tomorrow. And stochastics nicely oversold. This one very, very nice here with stops at $1. Last but not least, AERG. This one spiked as high as $1.44 today on news that they signed a pretty big deal with Level 3, one of the biggest defense contractors in the world, to work on counter IED devices. Stock sort of sold off with the overall market late in the day, but it did have a breakout before that late day swoon, so we'll be looking for some follow through on this one tomorrow and a move back above $1.40, and there's zero resistance really until the 150 180 zone. RSI looks good, positive MACD cross and positive ADX cross, so definitely one to keep an eye on tomorrow for a snapback bounce, especially if we've got a green market. So that's pretty much it. We still remain high cash. We are entering a tough time of the year right now. We're going to start shorting a hell of a lot more plays, especially, these spike garbage plays like RPRX, GMBT, especially if they give us high enough pops. Those are the kind of plays we're going to start shorting more and more of in the near term. Remaining high cash overnight, very few plays. Shelf life on plays right now, a week. I don't care how much we like it. If they haven't popped within a few days, especially in this market, we step to the side. We can always rebuy positions, but cautious defensive stance right now and look to play the mini momentum we're seeing. Right now it's in the small cap bios and storage stocks. Next week it could be something else. So that's really it for the video tonight. See you guys in the chat room. Good night.